Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith, the Smith of the Black with the weekend vid, and we've got a new quarter coming, and all the spider kind of stuff. But I did the guest host for the weekend shift, so check in for that at CPA Group. Anywho, so we've got what this means is we've got a new quarter, new month, all that kind of stuff. So you hear me talk about uncoupling when we have separate openings. So for the first time of the year, we have a separate opening for the year and the quarters and all that kind of stuff. So as we came into Friday, we're come the end of the quarter and they jammed them. They did, and we talked about that, as far as window dressing, where let's say that you're having a good quarter, you're in a hedge fund, you have every reason to just jam these things on the highs so you can, send out your quarterly report to your clients after last year and say, look, we went out on the highs, especially if you're going to come back in, into the new quarter and keep buying. So here's your monthly on the SPY. You're a lot closer to 2-2 up. We've been talking about this range for a long time, the higher highs and the lower lows, right? So all it takes, at least to start off, is to be over 409.70. You're right there to be a 2-2 reversal to the upside, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. If we go back to that daily, here you got your lower low. Now you got your higher high. You can see this, why we use multiple time frames. Okay, outside bar. That's something you'd want to know about because that's a broadening formation on a shorter term time frame. So what we did have was outside bar, 2 down by taking that out, but then closing green, and then a 2-2 reversal here, right? 2 down, 2 up, and yeah, it spiked up and came back in, but it did not reverse. Okay, so what you have now here on your weekly is this, right? Like so. Now, can you continue to break that out and take all this kind of stuff out? We'll see. Like whenever you go down the highs or the lows, everything's going to look good or bad. We know we have a lot of tight ranges, but as far as we know, most things are closer to taking out the monthly highs, right, to start it off. Now, that's going to have to continue, but you also have those, yearly openings, now new quarterly openings, now monthlies and all that kind of stuff. So, but we are closer to doing that. So the big winner was QQQ here, the outside month, right? And we've been looking at this, the lower low, the higher high in the monthly, now the outside month. So if we go to the weekly, look at that, outside, 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 and then take this out. So if we get back into these three, that would be a problem. If we can get back into these three, that would be something I'd want to know about. But we're nowhere near doing that right now. But that's something I'd want to know about. And like most things, we had Momo Hammers and window dressing going into the highs. All right, so we'll see. We're trying to break out of this. But like I said, whenever you go out on the highs, we don't have a lot of magnitude. So what that means is if we take out these monthly highs, we want to stay up there. If we go to the Dow Jones Diamonds here, and Dow Jones Diamonds a little different. If we go to the monthly here, got some distance, but you see it's 5 months of this, but you did stop them out, triangulate out, right, by going to lower lows. And so here, I want to know about the diamonds above 336.12. Okay, so we got some distance on that, but if that's going to be a 2-2 reversal, that's where it kicks in. If you go to small cappers, oof, how are you not going to be an inside month here? And so we know that a lot of regional banks and a lot of stuff is, trapped in there. But how are you going to get out of this? And so, if you're trading futures, I would watch the weekend shift. I discussed this at length about if you're trading the futures, you want to watch the 4 top broader averages. And that will tell you where you want to be. Do I want to be shorting the NASDAQ? No. Do I want to be doing anything here? No. Because what you'll see is a simultaneous break. When they really move, they all break in the same direction. We're not seeing that as far as the broader averages just because of the small cappers. But that doesn't mean that we can't have that in all the major ETFs and sectors and stuff like that. So if we go to Apple, and one of the things I did is go through the macro vid. The macro vid is essentially the weekend shift. Apple's potentially an outside year. And so that gets my attention. I mean, look at this month here. That's nice. See that slight lower low there? That's a killer. And then boom, no lower low on the monthly here. So Apple goes out here on the highs after what? Trying to get the out right here. They will. Boom. So it goes out on the high. So of course it's going to look good, but it's one of the few things that can be an outside year to the upside. And we've seen what outside years can do. So, as we come into the new quarter, we're going to see if do they continue to pile into the NASDAQ, XLK, stuff like that, having a nice month. And you can see here on the month, there we go. Now you're getting closer to taking this out. That gets my attention because you got Apple and you got Microsoft, the most heavily weighted in there. And Microsoft says, let's go. So, like I said, when we close near the highs, we might want to wait for some triangle layouts because all it takes is a couple ticks and you're going to be two up. But we'll see. So we know that it's like been financials, stuff like that, that's been the weakness. And that's where you go to the small cappers because you got KRE, all that. Should we back off? There's a nice Rev Strat monster for you. And so, we'll see how that goes. Obviously we got a short week. We're here in Holy Week, so it's going to be a 4-day week. So we'll see how we open the quarter, the month, and all that kind of stuff. And how many of the twos, because we're close to two and on the months to the upside, but can they stay there? And that's where I talk about we'll see what the first week says. Then second week, can you maintain all that? Because it doesn't take much here to get a bunch of these things to go two up on the month. The question is, can you stay there? And can you start gunning to here? Because, with the NASDAQ, you're seeing, overall strength, which we've seen. With the SPY, you've got banks, you've got all that kind of stuff. When with FAS, here, how are you going to get out of there? So there's a lot more internals that are working, in that situation. So we want to stay focused on things that are moving, things that are, don't have exposure to a bunch of these these weak stuff. And then if you look at like MetaBuddy, this has just been absolutely gorgeous. Talking about that in the macro, how it was a 2 month, a year or to the downside. And then here, the 2 down, 2 up, didn't do too much on here, but it did not negate this, right? Which means that this is the opening of the year, right? Right in here, right? And then full time frame kind of the upside, quarterly, monthly, yearly, all that kind of stuff. So the whole way up, you can just look for those to take that, continue. So here is also an outside month. And the high is 236.86. At this point, triangle day out and triangle day out. So if you look at like Amazon, we always like to look at the big boys. Different story. But once again, you're closer to a 2 down, 2 up, right, on the month. So we'll be watching how these things open up because it doesn't take too much to take them to the upside. Then can they maintain that? And the good thing is that they are reversals, right? Might be green, but it was a 2 down. That would be a 2 down, 2 up. And if that works, and Amazon, you can look take these guys out. 114, and of course we look at Tesla's. Ooh, 2 down, hammer monther, right? So it wouldn't take much. And the magnitude only be take this out, 217.65. Yet it's been higher. So, it could keep going. We'll just keep, monitoring these things as we see them. But can't stress this enough. We're close enough to 2-2 reversals to the upside on most things. Still got a lot of tight rangers. We've got, like I said, the weakness in the financials and all that kind of stuff. And this year I've pulled back on a lot of things. And if you watch the weekend shift, you'll see why I have. Just the macro stuff is just not there. Just not yet. Maybe it kicks in, maybe it doesn't. But so many inside years, which is rare. We haven't had one since 2003. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of back and forth and why, I'll be on the headset during the day saying, we don't have a lot of magnitude, you got to take it. We don't have a lot of magnitude, you got to take it. Or you're seeing outperformance in a lot of the tech stocks. Like you can stick with that, because these guys were putting on a clinic. right? There's your outside monthly SMHers, all that kind of stuff. So these guys were getting it done. You just go out on the highs. So we don't have a reversal as yet on these kind of things, but we'll see how that goes, and that's why we play it day by day. So hope everybody has a great weekend. Happy Palm Sunday to you, and I'll see you bright and early in the morning. I'm Rob Smith with Smith the Black. The weekend, man.